first order of business, gentlemen. You've all seen the Fantastic Four now. And we made a point, actually, if we didn't talk about this at all before we went live. And I've got no idea what any of your opinions are on it, which is, I guess, the way I wanted it, because I wanted to go into this cold. And we'll do, I guess, a bit of a round table so each of you can give your thoughts on it. If I may just briefly go first. I'm kind of surprised to be saying this, but man, I actually quite enjoyed this movie. I didn't think it was too bad at all. I mean, there was definite issues, particularly towards the end. You can tell that that third act has been chopped up in the editing bay. But overall, I quite liked the team. I thought they were all pretty good in their own right. I thought even Pedro Pascal, pretty well suited to the role of Reed Richards. Definitely makes a few dumb decisions as a character at a couple of points, which we can talk about. But I thought his portrayal was fine. I didn't think that the girl bossery was anything like what the rumors had suggested, particularly at the end. My only real issue I had, I think, was with Galactus and the Silver Surfer. I actually just wanted to know more about them. I didn't think they were particularly well developed. I would have liked to have had more scenes with the Silver Surfer and gotten more from her, because she's just really a presence rather than a character, which seems like a real miss. But yeah, overall, I was quite surprised by this movie. I didn't have a bad time with it at all. I could be in the minority on this one, but I guess I'll let Disparu go next, and we can just work our way around.
I had a lot of the same issues with this one that I had with Superman, in that it was a load of scenes together, but I needed more, and I kept seeing like positions where they could go. So you want to sacrifice your child to save the Earth. That's interesting. All these people hate you, and then it's just magically gotten rid of instantly. And then you're like, okay, there's a scene above where she says, well, the child would sacrifice himself if he was older. It's like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Immediately just forgotten about. What about, we're going to fight the boss, but there's all these people here that are in danger. That's interesting. Oh, no, we got rid of them as well. And I would have preferred certain things expanded upon to make it better. I didn't like... I was actually surprised at Pedro in this, because I don't normally think he's a bad actor, but in this I thought he was very monotone in his delivery and was kind of outshone by everyone else. It seemed weird in this that he was... I thought he was quite monotone and just kind of blank. It's not like I think he kind of degraded from it, but I don't know whether he was going for sort of a logical intellect.
I assumed it was more just like he was going for a very, as you say, logical, analytical approach to it, because that's his character. He's meant to be a scientist. He's very logical about all these things. Because I know, like, we've seen him in other things. He can play like big, exuberant characters, like in Game of Thrones or like in The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. And so he can do it. I just feel like it was a conscious decision not to in this case. But I didn't mind it. Like, I wasn't looking at him thinking, especially like in Gladiator 2, I wasn't looking at him thinking, ooh, he's a bit miscast in this one. I felt like this suited him.
Yeah, it's like, even with him, I would have preferred, because there was a bit where they were talking about, I take all of the dark things from the world into my mind to work out how I can hurt them first. I thought, oh, that's an it. Oh, no, we're not going to do anything with that. So it was kind of, I was a bit disappointed that what I would have liked in the movie wasn't expanded upon. I didn't like the end at all.
Okay.
Both like the plan, and I was okay with Sue, but other stuff in it, I don't know how far we get into spoilers, so I'll leave it there. But I did like the opening.
We'll get into spoilers a wee bit later on, just so we give people some warning about it, I guess.
Yeah, the opening I thought was way better than Superman. Like, rather than just some text on a screen, I thought this was a much better introduction to the characters. So I did like parts and dislike parts overall.
Okay. Mauler, and I suggest that you keep this relatively short, just
you're so cruel.
Hey, you can talk as long as you want later on as we get into the weeds a little bit more.
I'll reveal literally nothing by telling you I think it wins the July blockbuster fight, and that it's the best Marvel movie in a decent while.
I think
that still puts it in. It could still be awful territory. It doesn't matter winning all of that. That's still broadly where I would slot it. I don't think this film's very good, but it's exactly what I was expecting from talking to a couple of people who had seen it. From the way they were describing it, I assume you guys have heard that a lot of people have talked about, like, I think it was Chris Gore who said, like, I didn't hate it. It's like, yeah, that seems to be where we're at, and that's I would echo that sentiment. I watched this film and I was like, well, there it went. There was some stuff in there that was all right. Lots of unrealized potential. Broadly speaking, a story that I was kind of surprised that managed to have so many scenes that were just there. That one went. Not much to gain from it, but not much lost either in terms of, adding or taking away from the story. I didn't feel much, but then, as mentioned as well, it got to the third act and it went pretty super retarded as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, I don't really know what I would say. I'm trying to think of like what works about it. It's like there's a few pieces where people got to act here and there, a couple highlights, I guess. There's some almost character, but the best thing I can say about the movie is it didn't catastrophically destroy any. I don't think there was any like character assassination. There's just people being stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't feel.
What's your review, Mullet? Yeah.
It's like it's a better kind of bad. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you did all right in parts. Look at you go. Oh, and I completely agree with Disbrew. The way they handled fast forwarding us through history was way better in this than in Superman.
Yeah, it's a nice brisk and breezy intro. I think that gets the job done. And I wonder if we're going to see more of this in superhero movies now, where it's like the writers just understand, like, everyone's seen the origin story for Batman and Superman and Spider-Man like a million fucking times. What's the point in showing it again? Let's just give us a quick summary, or just drop us straight into the action, because what's the point in wasting time on that? I think you'll probably see more of that sort of thing. But this film's a good example of how to do it well. It gives you just enough. If you somehow don't know anything about them, but it also doesn't waste a lot of time on it.
I mean, I would prefer that they just opened into a fight and showed you their abilities in action. And they
I would
kind of
prefer
do it
the movie be about what happens in that fast forwarding sequence. I'd rather
it wasn't meant to be. Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Moves on.
Despot, what about you?
I think the movie was terrible with some redeeming aspects.
Don't hold back, sir.
It's the biggest problem is the plot. The plot is so broken, but there's other major problems as well. Characterization is very weak. So actually the best character by far is Reed Richards, and Pedro Pascal does a great job because he's supposed to be the still center around which the sort of madness of everything happens. The problem is all the other characters have been watered down and tempered too much. So, Ben, the rock guy, he's just a sort of normal dude. He's not particularly interesting. The wife isn't particularly feminine. She's sort of just nice and intelligent. Her personality's a little bit too similar to Reed's. And then Johnny Storm, he's been, again, quite... he's not been emasculated or anything like that, but it's more like he's been just tempered down, and he's not a particularly interesting or exciting or fun character. So you've got these four fairly bland characters that I don't think generate much drama or comedy or dynamism on screen together. It's not bad, though. They're likable characters. I think the introduction is very good. It's definitely the best scene in the movie, like the sequence of scenes at the start. Obviously, we're not doing spoilers, but I like that. That was really good. And then that was really the only part of the movie that I particularly liked. I thought the villains were absolutely dreadful. Like, Galactus is a complete moron in this. He's pathetic. And Silver Surfer, she makes no sense. Like, her character, the moral dissonance and the decision making just makes no sense. Reed Richards is supposed to be the smartest man in the world, and he makes some of the dumbest fucking decisions imaginable, and people just go along with it. The geopolitics and the world building is an absolute disaster. Yeah. The action is shit. There's only like 2 action scenes in the movie after the opening, and they both suck, especially the ending. I think this is a terrible movie that looks good and kind of gives the impression of being good, but once you dig down even a little bit, like I was writing a script for this yesterday. My plot hole section is going to be 25 minutes long. I cannot figure out. It's definitely better than Captain Cape shit, but this is such a bad movie.
Alrighty. And Little Platoon, how do you feel?
I hate everything for clicks. So, I obviously hate this movie. No, this movie is what I was expecting Superman to be, and what people keep trying to tell me Superman was, which is to say, kind of janky, with some slightly balked humor, but generally an okay time if you don't look at it too closely, and it does some kind of interesting things going forward, and it makes, it's fun to see these new sets of heroes on the screen. That's what I keep being told that Superman was. This movie is probably at least 100% better than the Superman film was. So that's a start. But as has already been mentioned, I think in particular the third act, it just collapses in on itself, which is a real shame, because I'm probably slightly kinder on the movie than Despot is, and I do think like some of the stuff that like in the first two acts worked okay. I kind of liked the main cast. I think Johnny Storm is very irritating, and the Thing doesn't have very much to do, but they're there and they aren't massively objectionable, and the movie did a fairly good job of just making them essentially distinct. I don't feel like I've come out of the movie knowing nothing about any of them, which is a start. It's kind of got a bit of a mile wide, inch deep problem, though, in the sense that because we've wasted now 3 phases basically on just absolute dreck with characters who either don't deserve to exist or functionally don't exist anyway. And because we've spent, longer with Captain America 4 and longer with Thunderbolts than we get on this, which actually could be doing something interesting, setting up, a whole new part of the world, it has to go so quickly over absolutely everything that you're kind of in a bit of a whiplash mode by the end. It's like, well, I would have liked to see more of what the introduction was setting up. I would have liked to see more of what these characters can do and how they are with each other. I would like to know much more about the world, because the basic ingredients are there for it. That's all good. But we don't have time, because we have to get rid of Galactus as quickly as we possibly can, because the next movie is Avengers Doomsday, when basically everything I like about these people will probably be destroyed. So hooray. But overall, I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to. And yeah, I would agree it is the best of the big 3 summer releases.
Fair enough. I'm gonna actually come out. I can't look at this Pedro Pascal image anymore, so I'm gonna bring myself up there. There we go. I'm back. If you guys want to show yourselves on screen as well, feel free to do so. It's up to you.
So,
there we go. That's better, Platoon. Thank you. That was
I've got a bit of a problem, because I thought, well, no, this bit's going to get old, so I'll only keep this on screen for like 5 seconds. The problem is, though, that the thing I normally use is now broken, so I'm now stuck with Pedro until I can get it fixed.
Maybe you'll never get it fixed, Platoon, and that's it for the rest of your life. No, I wanted to talk a little bit about things I appreciated about this movie, because I may be in the minority on this one, but I appreciated the fact that the fucking Marvel humor is mostly absent from this. It's really toned down. There's 1 or 2 bits that they try and work it in, and it's really out of place, because one is like right after they've essentially been told your planet's doomed and you're all going to fucking die. And Johnny Storm is just making all these jokes about how hot the Silver Surfer is, which is no. But anyway, that being said, yeah, for the most part, the movie has actually got a more serious tone, and so it's less jarring and irritating than you get with the try-hard Marvel movies. So I really appreciated that. I do agree with what you said about the characters are a little bit watered down, in the sense that they're, the core elements of their personalities are a bit toned down, especially Johnny. I guess like in the comics, he's this like playboy, risk taker, like adrenaline junkie, and here he's much more. He's still got elements of that, but he's much more reserved. But on the plus side, he's actually not portrayed as the moron that the trailers would make him out to be, and he actually gets to do some pretty important stuff. It kind of feels like Reed Richards should have done it, really, but he ends up doing it, and it's like, well, okay, fine. What else? Yeah, I appreciated the fact that the team all get things to do. Even in the finale, I think we were told through leaks and stuff that it was all just going to be Sue Storm and the Silver Surfer teaming up to take on Galactus, and it's kind of not like that. There's more going on there. They all get their moment to do something, and it feels like much more of a team effort. And I like the sense of, the movie does give you a good sense of the stakes involved. you know, you got this sense of impending doom that Galactus is this unstoppable force that's coming for them all. And I think the movie carries that forward fairly well. So I did like it. And it felt like such a different beast from pretty much every other Marvel movie we've seen. Probably since, I don't know, Endgame, maybe? I don't know. I don't know how to just...
I think No Way Home's better than this, but
Yeah, I think
the-
that's fair.
because it's all it's a better kind of bad. That's just the best way I can say it, I guess.
And it's got a pretty good, at least on paper, the emotional hook, because the baby is prominently involved and becomes like the subject of the bargain, and so like and because the stakes are basically entailed in, you know, will you sacrifice your family or not? Effectively, is this kind of like the theme of the story. That automatically, to my mind, gives it many extra points than a lot of recent superhero things do, because this isn't, although there is a guy coming to destroy the world, which is a bit silly, it's not really about that in as much as it is like, what are you prepared to give up to stop it? And making it that human, making it like a fairly cogent, like family kind of theme automatically just makes me more interested. I understand this. I can feel a little bit for it. The characters are being put in a position where they actually have to maybe sacrifice something which really does mean something. Unlike, I mean, what is the equivalent in any recent Marvel film? I can't really think of one. It's just like generic flashing lights and people flying around shooting lasers and sometimes face planting missiles for no very good reason. And it's like, that's not as interesting to me.
I was genuinely shocked that they had like a man and a woman in a relationship, married with a child as essentially the core of the story. It was borderline shocking from Marvel at this point that they would actually show something like that.
And they actually use it for some of the humor as well, which I think makes the humor more tolerable in this film. Is that it's not just sort of quipping, that like the quips can't just go anywhere. The baby is kind of the source of some of the humor. Like my sister's just had a kid, so a lot of the jokes are kind of slightly more real. But like when they say you're supposed to sleep when the baby is sleeping, so you assume that the baby sleeps. That's kind of funny. I like that. Like trying to fiddle around with the pram later. That's kind of okay. Yeah. It's like so many things just fall into place so much better if you have something basically universally understandable as opposed to just like amorphous quip.
I also really appreciated the fact that it's not chained to this ridiculous fucking like convoluted story that we have like in our universe, you know, on Earth, whatever number it is. You know, with all the shit that's happened over the past like 20 years, here it's set in a different reality, and so like it's completely separate from the rest of the MCU. And I was just like, thank fucking God, it's just a self-contained story that I can just get into right off the bat. And yeah, they went all in on the comic book side of things. Like it's definitely got that crazy retro futuristic 1960s look to it. But it's fine. It makes sense in context because it's a different reality, and so okay, I can buy into that. And it's just very visually interesting to look at as well. Like all these things tie into like just a different experience than what you usually get from Marvel movies, which is just complete generic sludge, the sort of thing we've seen a million times before. I felt at least they were doing something a little bit different here.
I get the impetus to almost praise it for something like that, but at the same time, a lot of these movies that Marvel make don't give a fuck about their history in their own universe. Like
but they kind of want you to, if you know what I mean. Like they might contradict themselves, you know, every which way, but like there's still this implication that you should be up to date on all the things that have happened in that universe, and it's just exhausting. Whereas here, there's nothing like that. You could just go into this blind and just watch it.
That was the stupid thing about Kevin Feige's recent interview, where it's like, well, our future movies and TV series will be self-contained, so you don't need to do research. It's like, you never have. I watched Thunderbolts, didn't know who half the characters were. But if you watch the movie, you're used to picking up people that you've never seen before and just working out who they are from their actions, and it works fine.
It's supposed to work that way anyway.
Yeah, I think that was a dangerous lie that Marvel kind of instituted themselves to try and get you to watch all their old stuff, and it backfired on them. But they never really made the content, so you had to watch Captain Marvel to watch the Marvels. You know, that never really worked, even within their own series.
Yeah, you shouldn't be watching the Marvels anyway.
Yeah, no one should. Ironically enough, no one did. So.
Nobody did.
But I think one of the advantages of that is that this focused on the Fantastic Four. So they did cut a couple of fight scenes out. I would have liked to see the fight scenes, but at the same time, I'm glad that it didn't have 3 different villains that we all had to have time for and tell them all the backstory and get into. Yeah. So definitely keeping it focused on the heroes themselves and one villain helped the movie for sure.